Alright, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to show you some basic rules of exponents. So, before we go into this, let me show you a couple. You have x to the 0. Now, what's x to the 0? 1. So if that's to the 0, what's 10 to the 0 power? 1, exactly. And what would be negative 10 raised to the 100 power raised to 0? 1. So it doesn't matter what's being raised to 0, it's going to be 1. It's pretty straightforward. Now, x to the first is what? Yes, it's just itself. So what would be 10 to the first? Right, it's just 10. That's it. Let me show you another one. You have x raised to negative n. Now, when you think of exponents, this doesn't make the number negative. It doesn't. It just flips it. So it's 1 over x to the n. So an example of that would be if I have 3 raised to the negative 2. Now I want to make this positive. I just bring it down over the bar. So it becomes 1 over 3 squared, which is just 1/9. A couple of the rules. Sorry, I have a list right here, so. Alright. Here, you have there's an n number of x's being multiplied to x times dot dot dot. But there's a m number of x's there. So you have, how many x's do you have here? Yes, you have n plus m. So that gives you x is raised to the n plus m. That's the multiplicative rule when applied to exponents. So let's look at this as an example. You have 2 squared times 2 cubed. 2 squared is what? 4. What's 2 cubed? 8. And what's 4 times 8? Right, that's 32. Now let's apply this. This is 2 to the 5th, right? 2 plus 3, the base stays the same. And the base has to be the same when you're multiplying them. If not, you are not able to multiply them. You just leave them. So it's 2 raised to the 5th. What's 2 raised to the 5th? Yes, 32. Alright, let's look at this. Again, you have x number on top, right, m. And then you have on the bottom x number of, you have n number of x's in the denominator. So what's that going to do? It's going to cancel things out, right? And it's going to keep going until one of them's the same, and you're just going to have the difference of the two. So that's what it is. You have x, m, minus n. You always take the difference of the two, and the result is whatever you start with. You place, where you place the result is where you start at. So, for example, if I have x to the third over x squared, I'm going to start with the top because that's larger. So that's 3 minus 2, which is x to the first, which is just x. If I have x cubed over x to the fifth, I subtract that. If I bring it to the top, right, my result is going to be a negative 2. However, if I start with the bottom, 5 minus 3, that gives me a positive 2. Wherever I start at, that's where I put my results. Now, since there's nothing here, you're canceling things out, right? Like I showed you the fraction, you're canceling things out. What's x over x? 1. So when you cancel things out, bam, 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 you're left with 1. And that's it. So those are 5 rules so far that I showed you? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Alright, let me show you a couple more, or actually 3 more. Alright, another one would be x to the n raised to the n power. Now here you have x to the n times x to the n times x to the n dot dot dot. That's going for m number of times, right? Then if you split this up, you have x times x times x dot dot dot. That's going n number of times, right? Just for one of them. And there is m groups of these. So there's m groups of n, which would be multiplication. So you have x n times m. Now, to look at an actual example, let's say you have x squared to the cube, right? X squared is just x times x. You have 3 of these. So that's the first one, second one, and third one. So you have x times x, x times x times x times x times x times x. And what's x times x times x times x times x times x? Yes, it is x to the 6. So the shortcut is just you multiply these, and that's it. Alright, let me show you another one. If you have x to the a parentheses y to the p, and both of those are being raised to the m, you're going to multiply them. You're going to distribute. You're going to raise everything to the m. And by doing that, you're going to simply just multiply. So this would be x am and y pm. Anyways, then you have x raised to the a, y raised to the p. That whole thing is being raised to the m. So again, you're going to distribute. So the m is going to go to each of these. Now, since it's x, a, and the raised to the a, and the whole thing is being raised to the m, you're going to apply this rule. You're not going to add those. So this would be x am and y pm. And that's it.